and it's like the biggest game of, I keep wanting to say Tetris, but it's more like free cell, I guess. You only have 4 open places to put things, and no matter how carefully you shuffle, you run out of room. Hello and welcome to well, Carlin's Worlds. Yeah, that should work. I'm a wanderer, a tinkerer, sometimes a nomad, a military veteran. I do things differently. There will be tinkering. I have a motorcycle, a truck, and a school bus. I live off-grid, so there will be some solar, batteries, inverters, and maybe even some wind. It blows. And that's all I can fit into about 30 seconds. Oh, and please, if you like any of this, it would be really awesome if you could subscribe and click that notify bell. Drop a comment if you have any questions or ideas. Share, like, comment, subscribe, notify. Oh, and Patreon if you're really an awesome kind of person. Cool. On with the show already. Alright, we're not going to do much outside because the wind is blowing out here. It's pretty bad. Anyway, that piece I just took off. There's my handrail for the door. That used to go right here. Okay, this is obviously the front door and the steps. That piece that was outside used to go right here. You can kind of see the dirt line. Alright. And it's a good day, I already found a penny. So that line right there, that's where that thing extended to. That's nearly a foot. I can move the bed all the way forward now. So to get to that, I had to freaking move everything again. So everything that was under the bed has been taken out, which let me clean. It was very dirty down there. So this winter I put this tent made out of bubble wrap over the bed, which it makes a big difference. I'm sleeping much more comfortably in there when it's cold. I don't run my heat overnight because it's a portable propane stove, and it just makes me nervous to let propane run overnight. Okay, so a couple months back I made this bubble wrap tent that is foil over bubble wrap. It's a Mylar face that does hold the heat in. The tent is attached to a shelf that was made out of OSB last year. And yeah, right here, this is, I made a bunch of those. That is made from the bus seat frames. When I took the seats out, I saved the metal. So the seat frames, I chopped up the parts that I needed and I made those brackets. That holds the shelf up. The way that I attached those, I screwed them right to the window frames, or actually the part of the bus body that the windows attached to. Now that I want to remove the windows and put in insulated panels, I have to take the shelf down because the shelf is held up by that frame. I'm going to have to take everything that's on the shelf has to come off. And it's like the biggest game of, I keep wanting to say Tetris, but it's more like free cell, I guess. You only have 4 open places to put things, and no matter how carefully you shuffle, you run out of room. And to attach this, I think I probably pre-drilled, but I ran just regular wood screws right into the steel, so I probably drilled like an 1/8 inch hole, and it worked pretty well. With all the stuff that was on there, I never even budged, really. The weaker part, I ran wood screws pre-drilled through the steel bracket and then into the OSB from the bottom, and then took my grinder and just ground off what was left of the points. So that part not as good, but the way it was down, so it worked okay. Alright, that's that. Screw it, and here we go. And I just broke one. I was hoping that wasn't going to happen. I might bolt these when I put them back on, thinking about it, instead of the screws. This one first, this one, and then the emergency exit window. We'll do that one last. I gotta move all this stuff out of the way to get to it. Now when I put the brackets up, the bracket, this probably isn't going to show up very well with the backlighting, but the bracket kind of straddled between the 2 windows. Normally there would be a screw here with a round washer that would hold the windows in place, but that was in the way of the bracket, so I took out the 2 screws that would hold them, and then the bracket had 2 screws, and that just kind of held everything in place. These are set in with caulking, so they're pretty much glued in, so you really don't got to worry about them accidentally falling out on you. Oh, this is nice. One of the problems from factory, I assume, this panel up on the top is your wire access panel. So there's at least on the driver's side, there's a bundle about 1 inch in diameter, probably 15 wires or something, that runs all the way down from the front. Basically, if you look at it from the GM factory where this bus came from, they built the motor, the chassis, and the hood, and then Bluebird builds the body and sets it on top. So at the front, there was a spot that I took apart earlier where all of the GM wires come back and then they're spliced into the Bluebird wires, and so the wire bundle that goes all the way down the side is Bluebird. So they are able to, basically build the bus, set it down on top of the frame, and then just plug in all the wires. It's pretty slick. This panel, normally they would put the windows in and then this panel would go on last. So you'd have to take this panel off to get the windows out. The way these are set up, the panels should come off from all the way at the back because they're overlaps. You start at the back one and then the next one and the next one and so on. I'm unfortunately starting at the front of the bus because this is the part I live in and I want to insulate the front first. Problem is, all my other crap is in the back and that's in the way. So what I'm hoping is I can get enough slack to just kind of pop it out. So I'm going to be taking this panel and the front panel off now, and hopefully I can get it to pop off because this panel overlaps the windows. However, the guys at the bus garage have replaced this window and this window, and it looks like the front window at one time. And when they did that, they didn't bother to take this panel off because you'd have to take the whole set off. And they are a giant pain in the butt to get back on because they're springy and they're usually bent. It's been my experience anyway. It's a giant pain to get them back on right. So when they replaced the window, they just put the window in and overlapped the other way, which makes it easier to get that window out. I am very seriously considering something like carpet padding glued to the ceiling as an insulation and sound dampener. What I'll probably do then is just have the padding come all the way down and it'll be soft there because it won't be supported, but I really don't care. A lot of this would go easier if I had a better plan in the beginning. But when I moved out here, I didn't have a lot of time. And everything I own is in the bus, so I didn't want to go get storage because then you end up paying for your stuff 2 or 3 times. Head bunkers. There's a few hard spots, so they put padding on so flying kids would bounce off of it. That window's loose. Huh. Both loose. How about that? Better take the screws out then. The windows I took out earlier were glued in pretty well, but these ones were completely loose. They didn't put any sealant on here. How about that? Maybe a little bit at the bottom. Alright. I'm also not planning on putting these back in, but I'm hoping to not destroy them just in case somebody wants them, or if I find a use for them or whatever. Plus, no sense having broken glass in the bedroom here. If you can see the falling dust, that's all the dust that comes through these windows when the wind blows. Put them down, it gives you something to grab on easier. earlier video I mentioned that the aluminum frames are not very strong, so try not to just yank on things because you'll bend the aluminum, which means you will not get it back in. Yeah, how about that? The ones on the other side, I used my putty knife and went around them and cut the old sealant, but this stuff, it's got nothing on it. Nothing that's working. There is actually some sealant, I think. It's just not sticking. Yeah, basically this was holding it in. That's it. Like that. Well, since I'm here, I'm going to scrape out the old sealant. What's left of it? I forgot that these windows are tinted until I take them out, then it's really bright in here. Well, I guess now I've seen both extremes. If I would have done these ones first, I would have thought it was easy and I would have been really disappointed when I did the other side. So this worked out alright. What I figured out on the other one, instead of putting a weather stripping on the bottom, I just shot a line of caulking down there. I think that'll work out well enough. And then I put the weather stripping on the sides. Seems to be better than it was. So. Alright, that's that. It's going to seem really dark now. Trim some of the styrofoam, but otherwise that'll just go right in. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, the bottom edge doesn't really hang on anything. There's a lip on the top, so you just kind of pull it down, I guess. If I remember right. Any screws, right? It's gripping on the back. I think it'll just come right off. There we go. It shows up. You may notice massive gaps in the insulation. I was able to see those at night, or like early morning after a freeze. You'd see wet spots where the frost had melted because all the heat was going through this gap. So eventually I'd like to buy some more fiberglass and fill in all the holes better. Don't have any right now though. I was looking. There is no wires on this side except for the emergency exits. So that would probably mean, well, I'm going to watch when I take the next one off, I guess, because I marked, there's a marker light, the side clearance lights. So that wire might come from the other side and across the ceiling. It looks like the dome lights all go this way for the wires. So maybe there is no wires on this side, except for this. So this must go across because there's a sensor that tells you that that window's open, or if the emergency door's open. There is a video about how I made these panels, so check that out if you're interested. Alright, so going, let's see if it fits. Oh yeah, there's one little metal lip you gotta look for. Otherwise, there you go. It's in. Alright, first two are in and caulked from the outside. I'm going to run a bead on the inside just because it's next to the bed, but that is going to be so much nicer. I'm really excited. Yeah, we're doing good. It's about 2:15. All three are in and caulked inside and out. This last one was just a little bit loose, so I went ahead and put the weather stripping in it. The other two are a tight fit, so I'm not sure where I made a difference there, but This last one was an emergency exit, but I think they're in standard size hole, so I'm not really sure what happened there. Not going to sweat it too much. It's in there solid now, so once I get the shelf up, then that'll lock it in place. So for now, we are done. In anticipation of that going very well, I'm going to hit record. I have barely used these as welding magnets, but I have used them for several other things. They aren't as strong as you think they are. They work okay. So I found a scrap of this tape or this plastic. I think for now, if I can get it up there, I'm just going to leave it draped down and not cut it off. Yeah, that's a huge piece. That's great. They worked. I think it was that one and probably that one. Something like that. I just had an idea. Not sure if this is going to work or not. But since one of the brackets fell down, let's put it up first and we can rest on it. That'll make it easier. I like that idea. Wonderful. Quality workmanship here. No expense has been spared. Two holes, I got the wrong one. Made a hole. Call that a resounding success. Proper size wrench is in my lunchbox. It's nearly perfect size. I don't know how that happened. This is what I should have done in the first place. I don't know if I even had bolts that day. That might have been the problem. This will be way better. Accidental improvement. That's good for about 100 miles an hour. Genius. Fairly easy because I was going through an existing hole. That helps. Man, perfect size. Hard to believe. Perfect. Enough. That one didn't break, so we'll leave it alone. That's nice. Quite happy with myself. Oh, what else? I think the next part of the plan, I'm going to sweep the shelf off just because it was dusty. Put all the clothes back on it. Slide the bed into position. Make the headboard. Reassemble the tent. I considered upgrading the tent, and I'm not sure that I'm going to. I might have to do something though. We'll see how it looks. order, well, I can't even say order has returned. Chaos is in an orderly fashion. Well, that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. Yeah, that should work. Cool. I do things differently. Oh, and please, if you like any of this, it would be really awesome if you could subscribe and click that notify bell. Drop a comment if you have any questions or ideas. Share, like, comment, subscribe, notify. Oh, and Patreon if you're really an awesome kind of person. Thank you so much for watching.